This thing our own. We get this thing too. Yeah, we get this thing true. You know now.
Yeah, before I from this.
No, I don't think so. Nah, this thing not strong. But you go still work. Now just the man don't spoil. Carry you.
All right, thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the data. Write your number.
Because I know they use things. MTN network.
Mute. There's somebody else.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. How are you doing?
Yeah, we're doing fine. How about you?
How are you doing this beautiful morning?
Yeah, Unilag is fine.
How's LSA going?
Yeah, it's going fine. We'll be concluding the conference proceedings today. So far it has been very, very good.
Everybody seems to have left. Most people seem to have left.
Most people seem like they've not arrived this morning, and we're having simultaneous panels going on concurrently.
Yes, but then.
So some people, they choose like a session that maybe they are much interested in. So I believe before we proceed more, people would have joined this our session.
It's always like that in the library. People be preparing to disappear.
Yes, sir.
It has been a great week.
Yeah.
You didn't send your short bio.
Sir?
Biography of you. Your short bio, the true biography.
Actually, we are not part of the presenters.
Okay, you are not.
We are the volunteers. We are the one moderating the
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So none of these presented paper.
No. Like we are the one in charge of the setup and making sure everything is going on well.
The list. Give me the list. So I want to let me get the names of the presenter. I thought you are the one. I've already relaxed.
No, we are just the volunteers running the Zoom.
making sure that the Zoom is working. The Zoom webinar, yes.
Then we have I call it Harmon Matas. Then we
This is it now.
Yes, yes.
Have
No, that's not the one.
these are the two chairs. Dele and the chairs. So, and those people presenting are not even high yet.
Yes, that's it.
And they've not even come physical. 1, 2, 3 people.
Okay, it's here. Hello, sir. Can you hear us? Hi, everyone. Can you hear us? What is going on here?
I can hear you. Good morning.
All right. I think I think the connection of your chair is having issues. The panel chair. Okay.
Is there no Wi-Fi session going on here?
Yeah, John.
is Mike Kekiara.
No,
What
no,
of
sir.
Gani
No, sir.
Solomon?
Yeah.
It's online.
Then what of Mike again?
It's not here.
So your voice is echoing.
Because he took special permission that he should be allowed to present first, rather to catch his flight to Warri this morning.
Okay, he's not here yet. Maybe he's on his way.
No, he wanted to present by virtually from the airport
Okay.
before he boards.
Okay.
Around
Okay.
10, yes.
Okay. You can see the people here. Maybe you can start with the people who are here present. Maybe.
Yes, anybody that's ready should present. At least that they are ready.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Yes. Ganiyu, are you there?
I'm here, sir.
Ganiyu Koka. Okay.
Sir, I'm here. Good morning, sir.
Okay, please. Deliver your paper.
Okay, sir. I'm
We
sharing
are
it
on to
now.
Ganiyu now.
Okay, sir. I want to try and share my paper. Okay, can you see my paper, sir?
Yes, but it's blood.
Hello? It's
It's
blood?
blood. Modern resident to the Yoruba concept of incarnation.
Hello?
It's blood. If you can make it clear.
I think the paper is blood. Paper is blood. How can I unblow it? Eh? I'm coming. Excuse me. I'm not going to remove myself there. Come.
It's
It's
from
blood
Ghanaian.
now. This one. This one. Okay, yeah.
Let me give this number.
How about now, sir? Hello?
Present your paper, please.
Hello?
Hello, Ganiyu.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, please go ahead with your paper.
Yes, sir. The title of my paper is Modern Response to the Reality of, to the Yoruba concept of reincarnation. My name is Kuka Kehinde from University of Lagos. I will quickly run through my abstracts. I want to know this one. The belief about reincarnation among Yoruba people of southwestern Nigeria has been controversial among youth and scholars. While some supported the reality of this belief, others frowned at it with the submission that death is the end of all and rebirth is superstitious. This study uses this concept of eschatology as an entry point to examine the modern response to reincarnation. The objective are to investigate how Yoruba people conceive the idea of reincarnation within its broader cosmology. Second one, to examine the reason behind the denial despite the resemblance. And lastly, to examine the effect of civilization and modernity on the reality of this belief system. Now, the study adopts a qualitative approach involving in-depth interview with purposefully selected Yoruba, Babalawo, youth, and academics in the Lagos metropolis. The study finds that the concept of reincarnation is real among the Yoruba, and the response because many youth and scholars profess either Christianity or Islam. In addition, this belief defies Western science logic. Hello? Hello, are you with me?
Yes.
Hello? I
Yes,
think
we
the
can hear you.
network.
We can hear you.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear
Okay,
you.
all right, thank
Yeah, continue.
you. Okay, by the way of introduction, reincarnation is a concept, is derived from a Latin word. I know what, all right, sir. from a Latin word incarnatium, which literally means entering the flesh again
Ganiyu,
or rebirth. This is sir.
can you give us
Hello,
your
sir.
video? That we can see your face. Your video, please.
Coca, can you take my sorry.
Can you
I'm going to video. Can you video? How am I going to do it? I'm coming. Okay. Is it showing video now?
But your face, place the phone very well.
Okay, yeah. How am I? Okay.
You can see the handsome face now.
Thank you, sir. Okay. All right. At the matter of introduction, it's derived from a Latin word. Well, yeah, this is different from the doctrine of immortality of the soul, which say the identity, the consciousness of the memory of the individual persists after death. That's according to Darrow, 1973. Now, the origin of the thought on reincarnation is not known, but different religions and cultures have different understanding and uses of reincarnation as a concept. That is, in opinion of Aki Otiko, 2020. Reincarnation is philosophical or religious position that an aspect of a living being starts a new life in different physical body or form after each biological death. It's also called rebirth or transmigration. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hello, Ganiyu.
Okay. Reincarnation has been understood. Hello. Reincarnation has been understood as a real experience, just as it has been symbolically understood and used among Jews when discussing the practice of conversion to Judaism. According to the school of thought, in Judaism, when non-Jews are drawn to Judaism, it's because they had been Jews in a former life. Then when they got converted to Jews, that means they are tracing their way back to the Jews. They've been a Jew in a former life. That's why they are wandering around everywhere. They still come back to the Judaism. That is their belief in Judaism. In India also, it's also a concept that we can see in different religions. We have in Asian religion, in Indian, we have in China, Japan, Taoism, and Zen master, even Hinduism and Shintoism also. These are concepts that are found in different religions, but it has different meaning, different from our own belief here in Yoruba traditional system. African are not left out of this discussion, as reincarnation is an essential tenet of many traditional African religious system and philosophy. Various African countries believe in rebirth. All right, yeah, I would like to give about according to Yoruba belief the categories of incarnation among Yoruba. We have one we call born to die, and then we have ancestral rebirth, that is Padawaye, and then we have the another one that we call die and reappear, that is Akudaya. Now, Akiyotiko guide all these things into two different parts. It calls one transmigration metamorphosis, psychosis of soul, and also the second one is called partial rebirth, which I feel born to die might be regarded as partial rebirth. Ancestral rebirth is regarded as partial rebirth, while born to die is actually transmigration, and also the akudaya, which is die and reappear. Okay, the reality of this incarnation can be found in Ifa corpus, which we call Odufa. Now, according to the Odufa Osedi, a verse of Osedi where there is a rendition titled as Adifa fun Abiku Aye, a divination made for a child that is born to die. It goes down, say Oshafufu Loke Sai Sai, that is Elin Osha, who is white. Adifa fun Rumila, Tin fi gbogbo ọmọ ṣòwò Abiku, a divination was made for Rumila when he was having children that died after birth. Now, Ifa is just is a knowledge system of the Yoruba belief system that encompasses everything Yoruba believes in. Anything you are looking for is found in the Yoruba belief system, the same way the Christian believes in their Bible, and also what is it called? Okay, I'm seeing something. Hello, please slow down a little bit. You can barely follow you. Okay, all right, thank you, sir.
Yes, you're talking fast.
When you share what my I missed the
Thank you.
share.
Thank you.
Okay. Where's share again? Let's see. Okay, sorry. All right. Okay, I said it's found in Odufa. Odufa is a belief system, is the knowledge of, it encompasses the knowledge of Yoruba belief system. The same way we have the Quran, we have the Muslim believing in the Quran and the Christian believing in the Bible also. Ifa consists of everything we can think of, science and everything, even before the coming of the Western civilization. Okay, also he did that says about that talks about Abiku Aye. He said, "Oṣù Àfúnfún lókè ṣáì Adífá fún Ọ̀rúnmìlà tí ń fi gbogbo okay. Ó fi kàyẹ̀mí Adífá fún Ọ̀rúnmìlà tí ń fi gbogbo ọmọ ṣòwò àbíkú." That verse is hailing Osha, who is white. That is the white god, and it's nothing. A divination was made for Orunmila when he was having children that died after birth. There's a story behind that saying that when Orunmila was giving birth to children and the children were dying, they have to just go and consult Ifa for him, and they asked him to go and could do some sacrifices and the rest of that. And also there's also another couples of Ifa that talks about it. One Oba that was giving birth to Abiku also. Now, in the process of giving birth to Abiku, one hunter had because Abiku are regarded as what they call they are regarded as elegbe omo. Like everybody believe that maybe along the like we are always two in number and you have spiritual some are people that need to come to the world to come and live a particular period of time and go back. Now they have a group in heaven that the what they promise them that once I step to the earth, I'll go back, I'll come back immediately. They can give them a particular time once making their parents cry. And that is now the Oba in the Odufa also was giving birth to this thing, and they asked him to go and offer some sacrifices. Now there was an hunter that was trying to hunt. Now this Elegbe Omo, they had the place they are doing their meeting, which was Ibi Ogede, like banana plantation. Now when they were doing it, the hunter hide himself in preparation to see whether animal will come. But he had the conversation whereby the Elegbe Omo that was meant to call because the wife of the Oba was pregnant at that period of time. Now he had the Elegbe Omo telling them that I'm just going to go back, I'm going to the world and I'll come back once I clock a particular age or once you start sending me on errand, where I won't stay long. Now when the hunter had it. And the one conversation said there's no way they can tie him down because they didn't know the what they will use to tie him down. Now, in the process of conversation, he mentioned what they will use to tie him down, and which are okay,
Yes,
like
there are
even
two.
the
Two more.
Huh? Okay, let me move to the other one because of time. Okay. Oh my.
Okay.
All right, that is
Sister, can you
that.
have less
Okay,
than
you
2
also have
minutes.
huh?
You have less than 2 minutes.
Yeah, that's reason for incarnation among you, but I have the unfulfilled destiny. They
Can
believe
you hear
that
me?
once you have yeah, I can hear you, sir. Unfulfilled
Two
destiny,
minutes.
they believe in
Less
ancestors.
than 2 minutes.
Okay, unfulfilled destiny, believe in ancestors, and only God knows. Now, my findings is that Yoruba people conceive the idea of Akubera through the Odufa and their experiences. Some Yoruba Christianity and Islam also condemn the experience because it's not grounded in their holy book. And the idea of reincarnation is common among the elders, not the youth. It has a place in your Yoruba belief system. Now, I will conclude by saying incarnation holds a significant place in the belief system of the Yoruba people, deeply ingrained in their cultural and spiritual lives. This belief persists despite the introduction of Christianity and Islam in the 19th century, which did not traditionally accommodate the concept of reincarnation. Yoruba belief in reincarnation is rooted in the ancestral worship and understanding of life cycle, reflecting their unique worldview. The persistence of this belief highlights the importance of cultural and religious experience, demonstrating the different societies can hold very equal value perspective on spiritual matter. It does not follow logic, but the worldview of people provided a ground for their belief. This is very essential to respect people's experiences and very events and reports as they narrate their stories. There is more to unravel about human existence. I'll finish with some questions that I'm yet to find out about it. Like how many times can one come back after Death. Yeah, that is the typography. After death, yeah. And the next one is what is the true nature of reincarnation? Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, I'm
Mr. Kende Daniel Koka.
You're welcome, sir.
You had a good paper, but maybe later we begin to interrogate your paper, and you may have people who want to comment and contribute. We now
Okay,
welcome Dr. Matai Chukwu. Dr. Matai Chukwu is a lecturer in the Department of English and Literary Studies, University of Nigeria and Nsukka. Highly read and has published vast. He completed his PhD at the University of Ibadan, then BA and the master's degree at just after UI anyway, at the University of Nigeria and Nsukka. And that's why he has to abandon UNN to get his PhD from his rate. He's a great researcher in the area of pragmatic discourse analysis, ecological issues in Niger Delta, oil exploration, the language of oil exploration, and he has done well for himself. And we now have Dr. Matai. Please, the floor, you have the floor.
All right. Thank you for that generous introduction. Please, I hope you can hear me.
Yeah, we can hear you.
All right.
We can hear you.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, we can hear you. We can hear you.
Okay. Please, can I share my screen?
Of course.
Yeah, you can.
All right. I'm trying to share my screen.
If I the dark side.
All right. Can you see my screen, please? Can you confirm that you can see my screen?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
human ecology
Can
is
see your
a
screen.
creation account, a vision of ecological harmony.
All right, thank you. So again, I'd like to apologize for coming in late. I've been having challenges logging in. I didn't want to miss any part of these panels. That of yesterday was so much helpful to me, but it's what it is around here. So I'm glad I'm here now. So my work is human ecology in the biblical creation account, a vision of ecological harmony. But I want to first say that this is a highly a work in progress, but something I think I need to present in this kind of conference to test the ideas that are already somewhere in my heart, and I'm working on it. So some of the literature, a large bulk of the literature, are not reflected in it. Now, the notion of ecological harmony presupposes that we can also have ecological crisis. And where we have the ecological crisis, that would mean that the natural environment and all that dwell within it are not together in harmony. There's a problem with their relationships. There's a predatory adverse relationship within that system. And where we have harmony, that would presuppose that there is some kind of order within the natural environment and all that are part of that ecosystem. Now, humans have often been implicated in this kind of trouble. Wherever there is ecological crisis, you almost always would have a human input. Of course, in few cases, you could say these are natural disasters, but in most of them, humans are implicated. This is because they are the ones that cut the trees and clear the forests. They are the ones that burn the bushes. They are the ones that produce the chemicals that get the entire soil poisoned and get the water bodies in a state that they can't be productive, they can't be healthy for other living organisms within that ecosystem. And it is humans that do all of this. And the thing is that eventually, in doing all of this, even the human who is implicated is also unsafe. And so we might, in these scenarios, we are dealing with a situation of some kind of self-destruction. Now, but it's not only in these acts that humans are implicated in ecological problems. This also comes in the way of discourse. Discourse as stories that are created by humans. And so humans create discourses that tend to construct stories and legitimate them. And these stories are stories, some of them are hazardous to the role of humans within the ecological system. Yeah. And so in these stories, of course, we're not just dealing with the traditional sense of stories, where you have the beginning, a middle, and end, but also with cognitive structures, as T.B. Aran would want to put that. That's mental models in the minds of people that determine how they conceive the world around them and the world within which they live. That some kind of produce their own pigeonhole for them to look at the world around them. Now, Bernard Cree has told us that the issue with this kind of stories is that they are usually the storehouse of values. And so when you expose a people to certain kinds of stories, they are likely going to change their attitude. And if you, in fact, want to change the cultural thought of a people, what you need to do is to change the stories that they listen to and the stories that they live by. Now, when these stories are found in the minds of multiple individuals, they become stories we live by, because it now controls a social group and gives them a kind of view of the society and the world around them, and determines how they relate with the world around them and within which they live. Now, this makes it very important that we need to be looking at the stories and the discourses that have formed our cultural texts, stories we live by, stories that inform our practices. And one place to look at this is to look at the creation stories. Yesterday, I saw a bit of that in the presentations we had, but I had also joined a different panel, the ecomusicology panel in this conference. And I saw a number of these. I remember one lady was dealing with the Yoruba creation stories. And it was so fascinating because we need to look at these creation stories as cultural texts and see what kind of thing do they say about the human ecology, and what kind of message do they bear, and what kind of vision do they bear about the harmony of the ecological system. Now, so the work we are at this present work is basically focused on interrogating the biblical account of the earth creation to see what is the ecological vision that is embedded in it, and how does that help us in building a healthy relationship ecologically within our societies. The methodology and framework of this work, the particularly in this work dealing with chapter 1 of the book of Genesis. And I have chosen the Old King James translation for the fact that it seems to me to be the closest English translation to the original text of the Bible. And the work is anchored on the Halliday and Hassan's 1976 cohesion theory. And I'm particularly using the reference cohesion and the lexical cohesion. Now, a part of the analysis I have done is to look at the chapter 1 of the creation story, even though the creation story in the book of Genesis did not end in chapter 1. The first part of the chapter is actually moves into chapter 2. In fact, the two chapters are two different aspects of the creation story. But the story, the first part that begins in chapter 1, verse 1, actually ended in chapter 2, verse 2. But for some reasons, that those who calculated the Bible moved that verse 1 and verse 2 of the chapter 2, which is original, which is actually by virtue of the structure, part of chapter 1 into chapter 2. But for this analysis, I have constrained myself to chapter 1. And I note that what chapter 1, verse 1 did was to give us a synopsis of the entire chapter 1, the creation story. And this synopsis is very critical as a discourse. Critical in the sense that what it does is to say that in the beginning, God created the earth, the heaven and the earth. And that was all. That was a summary. Now, what does this do? From verse 2, we begin to note the details of the creation. And what you see with the details is that you are beginning to see different aspects of the ecological system being detailed as to how they came into being. And so the verse 1 becomes a pivot, the summary relating to virtually every other verse in a kind of relationship of reference. But this time around, you have this and just everything now comes back to relate with it. And in this verse also, you see three critical pieces of information that are given and that ties the entire work together as one utterance, so to speak, as one story. One of them is the fact that it projects a God who seems to have a comprehensive program in which is everything that he is creating has to play a particular role and occupy a particular space, such that you see that it gives an impression that nothing in the story is arbitrary. It typically opens with the phrase "in the beginning," which tend to mark that this is a historical fact. Now, it also, that verse 1 also, from verse 2, you begin to see the details. And the first issue is that there appears to be this kind of chaos that was emerging in the creation story, marked by the fact that it says there was void. The earth was void, and there was darkness hovering over it. And then there was, it was without shape. But this God, the sovereign God that had been pictured already in verse 1, now speaks in verse 3 and says, "Let there be light." And so it seems as soon as this happens, there was some kind of restoration of order in that creation. So you find this again relating back to what you have seen in verse 1, where the sovereign God, the one who creates, that if you want to picture that, you see an active God that knows what he wants to do and that goes on in doing it. So he restores order to what he's doing, such that it appears, and this is what you find somewhere down, that he didn't intend to have the ecological system to be that's marked by some kind of disorderliness. He needed a kind of order, and he was intended on that. So when that system, that chaos was emerging, he immediately restored sanity to what it was doing. Now, the third thing is that I note that the verse 1 speaks of heaven and earth. So with the implication that everything that was created would either be part of heaven or part of the earth. And so we now, as soon as that was done, he moves into the details of the earth. And I note that the details of this creation are given in 3 installments. In the first installment, which runs from verse 2 to 10, we have a picture of the God creating the abiotic system of the earth that is to harbor the living things. So you have the creation of the creation of the firmament. You have that of the lower part and all of those. In the second part, you have the specifics of the ecological system that has to do with those who are to inhabit the earth. In the third part, you have the specifics of the relationships. Yes, you have created the earth, the abiotic system. You have created the biotic system, those who are going to live in the earth. And now there has to be an order. There has to be a means of sustenance. And so there is an instruction as to how they are going to, each of them is going to be sustained. So in the first installment, there is every kind of anaphoric references as we get the details of the things that have been created, to include the right slide. All right, so there was the light, and this light was going to divide. You have the day, you have the night. And immediately you begin to see that there is light and there is dark. There is day and there is night. And so day and light begins to build a tie, a cohesive tie, linking back to the void in some kind of antonymic relationship, the void and the darkness. Why the night and the dark again links back in synonymic relationship with the dark that we saw in verse 2. And you see this moving down across the entire thing, the entire spectrum of this chapter, so that at the end you find a chain of links that link the issue of light and day and night and the dark across, even up to the end of the verses of this chapter. And what this does is that there is this ambience, there is this kind of insistence that there can't be chaos on earth. And so that at the moment, if we find that there is chaos on earth, there is disorderliness, there is some kind of void occasioned by human activity, we can find that that does not agree with the ecological vision of the creation story. In fact, in the second part of the installments of the details of the creation story, we find that there are details of the biotic system. There is the grass specifically mentioned, there is the herb yielding seed, there is the fruit tree, and all of each of these, it will say in all of its kinds. So it is not just herb, it is herb in all of its kinds. And now here it says, he looked at them and found that they were good, and he blessed them and caused them to multiply, such that in the ecological vision of the creation account of Bible, it is understood that even things that we consider as weeds have a value.
Dr. Matthias.
Yes, sir.
You have less than 2 minutes.
All right.
So if I leave you now, you know how to talk. You will keep us fed bond here. Thank you.
All right. Let me move on, sorry. So you find that in that account, even things that we consider as ordinary as weeds, as herbs, have a great value in the vision of the Creator in that account. And they were to play a role. So by the time you go to the third installment of that account, that now deals with how do we sustain these living things that have been created to live in the non-living system, you see that the herbs and the fruit-bearing plants were now given as food for the living beings, both the whales and all the creeping things that were specifically mentioned. And so you see that the ecological vision of the creation of account of the Bible is that accommodates all things that are living and the ones that are not living. There was a kind of order that was projected by the Creator. So what then happens if we now find ourselves in this kind of situation where there is chaos anywhere? And what we have seen is that it is a matter of human resistance to that order and to that instruction. I didn't have time to deal with the fact that the human was actually made last. And in creating him, the Creator said, I will make you in my own image. And intention is ensure that there is one who could sustain the order. Incidentally, it does appear that the human has pulled away from that image and has rather become a destroyer of the ecological system. And so what do we say if we now find that even those who bear the Bible are part of the destroyers of the earth? It is to say that perhaps they have either failed to align with what they have been asked to do, or have perhaps rejected that part of the Bible that they bear. And so finally, I conclude that the Bible could be a place for us to look for the stories, healthy stories to live by in the present situation where multiple discourses are actually unhealthy for the living on earth. Thank you for listening. You are muted, Dr. Wani.
Yes. Okay, thank you, Dr. Chukwu, for that wonderful presentation. It's good that you are taking us to the Garden of Eden, and you have retold the story of the creation, and maybe we begin to reference you now as an alternative creation story that has to do with ecological issues. That was a wonderful one. We do not know the whereabouts of the third person, Ikike. He actually sent me a mail requesting to be allowed to be the first presenter because he needs to catch a flight around 10:30 so that he can be allowed to present from the airport. Unfortunately, we do not have any information about his whereabouts, and he's not online. We just hope that wherever he is, he's well and fine. Now, the two presenters, Matthias and Kende, we have listened to two of you, very wonderful. Incidentally, both of them took us to our ancestors. So, my own comment about Gani's paper is that I did not see any kind of connection, or you didn't actually connect your presentation to the issue of environment. How, yes, it's about traditional belief. It's about traditional beliefs, if I know that. But there seems to be a missing gap in the sense that I was particularly expecting you to create a signage between your presentation and its ecological implication so that we can have a saner environment. Because I believe those sacrifices you have made mention of, reincarnation, there are a lot of sacrifices. What you call Ebo, Ambori, Ambole, Ambole. There should have been a kind of synergy, intertextuality, sectionality, where the two mix. Because when you make sacrifice to the ground, and the ground, the land have ecological implication. The sacrifice you make, your distances, the airborne, wherever, the venue of the sacrifice, the shrine, the altar of sacrifice, all these things have ecological implication. But your paper, I don't know whether it's an oversight or maybe because of time, you didn't actually create that connection. Because the panel is about greening our environment, religion, and in the day of October. Let's see how the activities of these things, the implication they have on our environment, and how to make our environment safer in this ongoing global debate on climate change, global warming. Then to my Oga Matthias, if I have left you, you have left around 4 p.m. No, you. Wonderful. It's a great insight into the ecological implication of the creation. And it's opening a new vista in environmental humanity, where we begin to look at all these things, the correlation, the connectivity, and the preferences, the priorities. Why this? Why three to this? Why this? Why this? Why this? About the creation, you realize that God took time to design. Even in philosophy, they say it, argument from design. And all the design that God has made, heaven and earth, ecological implication, trees, plant, ecological issue, day and night, ecological issue, animals here and there. But before they want to say man, lasting, dominate all these environmental benefits I've created. God took time to create all of that. And it's good that you are reminding us about these things all again in this age of climate change, so that we can actually know where our problem began from. So it's not about whether there's a gas plant here, or whether there's only oil exploration in Niger Delta, or whether America is doing industrialization and all that. Just as our president said, that is a posing challenge. This idea of a climate change. So thank you for creating our sensibility, redirecting our focus, even to take this ecological action from Bible. It's a great thing. Thank you. So the floor is now open for participants. We have around 7-8 participants there. The floor is open for those physically present. And I can see my beautiful sister. And I want to maybe have I don't know if a volunteer or a participant. Please, the floor is open. Thank you.
Now I ask a question.
Yes, you are free, my sister. Your name and your...
Okay. Good morning, everyone. My name is Ola, and I hope you can hear me from here. So, well, I want to say well done to both presenters. I have comments and questions for both. I hope we can get them commensurately. So I'll start with the first presenter. Dr. Boka, well done. And you're taking a topic that is it's within my own field. And I wanted to say it's really great for you to do that, but also point out some things that you may want to consider. One, it is Ose, Ifi. You have to be very, very careful how you pronounce the Olufa. It's very important. You have to pronounce it properly, because then it allows us to follow you. It allows us to know where you are, what you're citing, or what you're quoting. So it's Ose, Ifi. And then when you quote Ose, Osa, in Ose, Ifi, I am like, are you sure? Did you check your sources? Because Ose Meji, Odu, is just a position of two SFR. So you have Ose on the right for your Oseidi, and you have Iti Meji on the left, right? And then you cite Osa Meji in it, or then you cite Osa, and Osa in itself is SFR. So I'm like, you have to be very, very sure that you're citing the correct one. 1, 2. You were talking about reincarnation. I find this panel very, very interesting, because I just currently, completed a book on environmental sustainability and Yoruba sacred origin. And I have sessions where I talk about reincarnation, but I term it social immortality. It's a concept that has been around for a bit, but I think that will do your work a lot of good, because when we talk about reincarnation, and then you ask what is, and you say it's not logical. Myth is not logical. Nothing. You don't even know. 5 biblical stories, Yoruba myth, Islamic myth. Nothing is logical. People don't just drop out of the sky, right? You can't put logic to this thing. So when you want to find logic in people's religion, you will drive yourself crazy. And you can, and it's also very it's kind of derogatory also to say it's not logical, because it's a word view of a people. So you have to be careful the kind of things or language you say when you talk about myths and belief systems. So I was going to say it's not logic. You are not trying to see logic. What you're trying to do here is say, this is how this is presented in this culture. These are my evidences that these things exist in this culture. It is not your business or your work to try to make logic out of it. So you don't just run into unnecessary questions like I am asking you now. So my question to you is going to be, what is your objective? Because you did not properly state that, and if you did, or you didn't get to that, I did not find what your objective is, because there are lots of work on environmental sustainability in Yoruba culture, or how the Yoruba perceive environment. I want you to tell me exactly what you intend to do in this research. Where your objective, your methodology, why you chose this methodology. Yeah, I wanted to ask that, and I hope that makes sense to you. And so, Dr. Chukwu also, fascinating presentation, and I wanted to say that and so I was going to ask, what is harmony? When where? Because in Genesis chapter 1, and this stems from ecotheology, right? It is about the earth and everything being given to humans to do as they please, right? To take care of. And we are part of the environment. Every time we talk about the environment, we talk as if we are not part of it. We are part of the environment. Sorry. And I go back to Dr. Hooker just then. Aye and Orun in Yoruba cosmology is never heaven and earth. Aye is Aye, Orun is Orun. You can't translate it as invisible realm or visible realm. But when you say heaven, you've run into Dr. Chukwu's domain. Orun is Orun, yeah? Aye is Aye. You cannot translate everything to English. You can't put it in the brackets to just maybe make people have an idea that what you are saying is similar to the Christian heaven. But Orun in Yoruba cosmology is never heaven, and Aye is not Aye. Okay, so I thought I would tell you that. So Dr. Chukwu, yes. So I'm going to say, are you planning to remove us from the environment? Because we are part of the environment. And yes, we do contribute to environmental degradation, but we also give agency to environmental sustainability. So we do a lot of damage, but we also do a lot of good. That is where we have eco-theology that has stemmed from the fact that humans should take advantage of the environment to see that the environment is part of God's creation and we should respect it. That is the root of eco-theology, which I think you should look into now. So we are not asking to extinct us like the Avenger movies where somebody will snap their finger and everybody, poof, half of us will be gone. We are part of the environment, and there has never, even in Yoruba myths, where I have argued this many times, that we don't have harmony. Since time immemorial, humans have been here and humans have been destroying the earth, taking from it, because whether we want, I'm in a air-conditioned room right now. It's hot outside. If I want comfort, whatever the air con is doing to the environment, it's not helping the environment. But if you take the air condition out, I will be hot. We will not be hearing you from where you are now because we're using technology. All these things we do for our comfort degrades the environment, whether we want it or not. So us saying that, it's like the only way you can make the environment good or whatever is to take us out of it. And I am not trying to that today. So how can we put things into the environment? How can we become agency for environmental sustainability? I think that is one of the questions I wanted to ask. And we destroy, we will take from the earth to sustain ourselves, but we have also become agency. It is why now you have eco-Islam, you have eco-theology, and you also have environmental sustainability in indigenous cultures, right? So these are things that I think that you should maybe consider when you're citing Genesis 1, because Genesis 1 only says, this is the environment. Take it as you want, whatever you want with it, I give it to you. Do as you please with it. So how can you find a way to find a balance between the tenets of Genesis 1 and your idea of what environmental sustainability should be? So I hope that I have been able to, and I am the person you were mentioning that I talked about Yoruba, the one in ecomusicology. I am that person. So I saw you. So I hope that my comments and questions are helping to open up this conversation. Thank you very much for allowing me to speak.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. That's a very wonderful one. And creating, expanding the discourse in a way from both the paper from Ganeyo and Matthias. Then I wouldn't know if our larger wants to ask questions, I want to contribute.
She does. I think I came in after the party. I came in.
Maybe you have it for respond from Quran perspective.
Oh well, let's see. Let's have other people talk. Probably I might come up with something.
No, the other man came from traditional African drama. Then Matthias came from Christian. Then you come. Please, let's come.
I think that the Arab world. Relationship between the biblical and the Quranic aspects of environmentalism, because man was actually put in place to oversee the earth, kind of, and I think that's what is in the biblical version as well. So, and then, well, there are some aspects of Islam that, put, although that's not my field, that's not what my exploration is about, and I've not actually looked into it, but I know that there are some rights bestowed upon environment, even killing of animals in Islam, they have their do's and don'ts. So before you can, so I think some of these things we might still need to look into it. But my own field is I approach environmentalism from the literary aspect. So I haven't had enough kinds of eco-theology.
No. I mentioned eco-theology.
Okay.
They have not done that. I was hoping that they could also benefit from eco-theology.
Mention eco-theology, yes.
They are not literally studies.
Okay.
From English.
Probably I would have been able to relate better if I had come in earlier. But I work on things and literary text on Nigerian environmentalism.
Are you done, Alaja?
Hello?
Are you done? Are you through?
Yeah, I am. Let's just have the
Okay.
conversation.
Thank you for giving us Islamic perspective. I think the three religions are complete now, and they have expanded our horizon. Then the next person is for some comment to Sifa Ichukunaman, the co-organizer of this panel. Sifa, please.
Okay, thank you very much. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, but we can't see you.
We can hear you because we can't see you.
Okay. You can see me now.
Yes.
Okay. I want to make a few comments. Yeah, for Koka Kehinde, I listened to your presentation. It was a good one, even though, like my chair said, you didn't really reflect the very essence of this panel or the theme of this panel in your paper. But then I didn't see, you didn't mention any theory you anchored your work on. And then you didn't tell us how you collected your data. So we'll be able to rely on, what you're telling us as facts. Yes. Then for the second person, Dr. Matthias, it was a very wonderful presentation. But then I want to say that after God created the heavens and the earth, after ensuring this harmony, like you said, he made a spoil. There's a kind of spoiler at the end. That spoiler is giving man dominion over everything. That is, it is making the whole thing anthropocentric. And that does not denote harmony. So after creating, ensuring harmony, let there be this, this should be like this. Then at the end, he said man should dominate and take control. Domination means taking control over everything. I think that's where our problem started. Yeah, because the creation man see himself as belonging to. Yes, the creator made man see himself as owning the land rather than belonging to the land. So I think that's where our problem is, because if you look at Darwin's work on the origin of species, he said something about the entangled bank. The entangled bank here means the interdependency of all organisms, that all organisms are in one way or the other interdependent. You understand? So that no one should feel more important than the other. Because if you look at that intricate relationship, you see that we breathe out oxygen, we breathe out carbon dioxide, while the plants, the trees that surround us, breathe out oxygen that we breathe in. So if you keep cutting down those trees, dominating, expanding, and all that, you see, we are harming ourselves indirectly. So after ensuring that harmony, there's a kind of distortion, or how will I put it, disharmony in the end. So I want you to pay attention to that or respond to that. Thank you.
Thank you, Ifeanyi. And for the wonderful papers, there we have had a very interesting. If only 2 papers engage us, and we almost spent the time that we are allotted for 4 papers. That shows that the papers are really engaging. Now, quickly, Ganiyu, please respond to all the issues raised and way forward for your paper. Please, thank you.
Okay, sir. Okay, I'll start by addressing that. I'm not yet a doctor. I'm a master's student of African and Diaspora Studies. I'm not a doctor, sir. And more so, he said I didn't state my.
Law of equity says you're already a doctor.
Okay, sir. My methodology, which I stated in the after, I said I used qualitative methodology using in-depth interview. That is the methodology that I use. And for the comment of, I'll take note of that. So I said I use OCD. Okay, probably because
they want to
repeat
that action that bring about the world. That's human nature. Even though we get there, we want. So,
are we together?
Yes, we are together. I think it's from your own end. It is echoing.
So, Alaja and Alaja were talking. She was interfering with us. Okay, Ganiyu, go on.
Okay, sir. I said I use qualitative method using in-depth interview. That is the methodology that I use. Okay, and for I've taken note on the issue of connectivity with the environmental stuff. I've taken note of that, so that it's still a work in progress. I've taken note of that, sir. Thank you.
Okay, Dr. Chukwu, please, your comment, your comment and response to all the issues raised.
All right. First is to thank the respondents. Dr. Bernard, I appreciate your insights in this, and I must say I'm grateful. Now, the part of the issue you have also raised about the issue of the urgency is already embedded in my work. It's just that I couldn't emphasize that part. And that connects me to the second issue that Thonomani was also raising. Now, I think that the argument about the creation account of the Bible, that is here and there, with respect to the fact that it appears to be even the origin of the destruction. Some argue that it makes humans arrogant, and citing the word dominion, have dominion. I think that's the thing that we have always anchored on. It has been a problem all over the place, even among the feminist scholars and all of those. Now, but I think the issue there, my understanding of that is slightly different. Now, when I talk about ecological harmony, I'm not talking about some kind of El Dorado where there is no pain, where there is no bit of discomfort at all. That's not what I have in mind. I have attempted to talk about ecological harmony in terms of a situation where they created things, each occupying its space, and where the human that has become the offender in many of the instances of offense are actually what you have termed agents of sustainability. In the creation account I am dealing with, it is already incorporated there. Now, the matter of dominion deals with verse 26 of Genesis chapter 1. That deals when he wanted to create man, say, let us make man in our own image and let them have dominion. So, and you are, and I like the way you captured it, the summary that it was just a matter of giving the whole thing to man. Do with it what you like. But that's not my reading. In verse 28, when the man was created, he said he created the man and gave instructions, and replenish the earth. There's a replenishing, and that's where the issue of the agency now comes in. The natural order of things in the human ecology is such that everything depends on the other for sustainability. But the creation isn't such that none would have some kind of discomfort. Humans, for instance, would need to eat if they must be alive. And they are not going to eat the air. They will need to eat food, so they will need to eat plants. The plants themselves are not going to survive without the agency of the microorganisms. And humans are going to defecate, which is a product of what they have eaten. The microorganisms, the azotobacter and all of those, will need to act on it, release the nutrients for the plants to again grow and bear fruit. And then we see the cycle going on and on. But I think that what God did, my understanding of that Genesis account, is to say, because like the third installment I talked about, he began to talk about, you should feed on this. What I find my own ecological philosophy, maybe that's where the issue is, because I should have explained that before. My own ecological philosophy is that we can't do away with the man. The fact in that Genesis account is that there is a condition in this. He said, let us make man in our own image. And I've dealt with the image of God, that in verse 1, where you see this sovereign God who knows what he wants to do. My understanding, my interpretation is that the centralizing of man in that creation is to ensure that the order that he has instilled is maintained. What I find obnoxious is what you now have as the overconsumption that is what leads to extinction. That's where I have problems. So my own ecological philosophy permits that the human is central in putting the order. All the created things are not going to be on their own in that way and do the way they like. There has to be some kind of order. But for man, the order is not the way you put it. Do with the earth what you want. No, that's not the way I understand it. What I understand is do replenish the earth. That's the only way to put order. Once there is that agency is destroyed, once that agency is destroyed, the entire order collapses. And that is what we are dealing with. And so my thinking is that the crisis comes when we are destroying without replenishing. We are going to build a house. The house is going to be located somewhere. So we will have to put out trees. But there's need to be deliberate in replanting. Otherwise, even the man is harmed. So the man is not outside the ecosystem. He's not outside the environment. He is part of the environment. And if he destroys the environment, he destroys himself. That's part of my introduction. And that's my view of this. Thank you.
Okay, go ahead.
But thank you very much, Dr. Chuku. And I wanted to say this. I always advise that if you have a different interpretation of an already existing term, it's always important to live with that. So if your idea of what, if your interpretation of harmony is going to be different from what we perceive or what we already know harmony is, for the sake of your own research, right? You have to say that going out, like this is what harmony is. But for the sake of my own research here, my study, I will be defining, I will be looking at harmony this way. So that way we will not be asking you questions about, wait, where is harmony in this? Because I have that kind of, I mean, I like I said, in my just completed book, I have terms that I came up with myself. I have something I call sacred sacrificial order. And that is when you said about order also made me like, I need to also ask you, what is order? Because what is order in a place maybe disorder in another place. And what we consider as order in the environment is actually a disorder in the environment. And you can read Sin as a State by C. Scott about what happened in the European forest of German French. I said C. Scott. C. Scott. His name is I've forgotten his first name, but it's C. And then it's Scott. S-C-O-T-T. The title is Sin as a State. That is the title, and then it has a subtitle. I can't get it off of the top of my head now. And he talked about how in the 18th century, German forests, they were, I think at the start of industrialization, right? They were going to create order in what they term as disorder. And you know what that did? It brought death to the forest. The forest died because what humans thought was order became disorder. The forest was thriving in its own disorderliness that was its own order. But when humans try to put order into it, you know, when you do agree, they will say triangular, this one, plant this one there, plant this one here. It was us enforcing our own order on the environment. And then that led to the death of the environment for 100 years like that. The same thing Caroline Marchant talked about in our work. She's Caroline Marchant, and she called it Death of Nature. And in that book also, she talked about how we humans trying to enforce what their own idea of order is on the environment always led to a disaster for the environment. The same thing, I think it's this woman that wrote something about me, but I've forgotten her name now. She also tried to tell us what order is and what order is not. In my culture, we say like this is how we do it in our own house. It may be taboo in other places, right? So when you say, oh, order, what is order? Your order in your own context may not be order in my own context, right? It tells you that what is, I mean, that is when it is evening, people put their own, they have different cooks. Everybody takes, put their chicken away, their ends away. But the cooks are different, right? So order is always not the same everywhere. It's not a one size fits all. So when you say order, I want you to also be very, very, very careful of using that term. If you have to define what you are talking about as order. So I hope that if you need me to give you the references of the books I mentioned here, you can send me an email and I will. But this is very fascinating, and it's because I always want to see how we as Africans approach biblical stories, because they are not our stories, and but approaching them from an African sense always brings a new brings new discussions about them, and we cannot just take everything as status quo. So I really, really look forward to reading new things about how other people interpret or talk about these new things that are coming up on environmental humanities. And I hope that Dr. Booker also can benefit from this. But believe me, the terrain you are in, I have benefited from it and you have not even scratched the surface. So I hope that you can, if you find the right SFR, and it's not just SFR alone, you can do Orioshun, you can do Orishongo, you can do Orioya. You can do Alo, right? You can. I have engaged all this Yoruba orature in my book, and I promise you, I did not even scratch the surface, right? And I have a ton of things to write about. So please, it's a good, I hope you can continue on this path. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, wonderful sister, for your insight. And I want to. You want to say something, can you?
Like, yes, ma. I'm email, sir.
20 seconds. 10, 15 seconds.
I can type it.
Let me type.
Just my name. It's just
Like,
my name. It's just my name. Bumi Bernard at yahoo.co.uk. So my Bernard is double R.
They can even get it from the. They can get it from the brochure. From the conference.
Just my name. Oluwabumi Bernard.
Yes. It's there on the conference.
Oluwabumi.
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 Bumi. Yeah. The other name.
Okay. Thank you very much. And as we are sitting our panel, it will be a wonderful panel. Thank you for all the presenters and participants and the observers and those who have available with their insight and experience and their scholarly vision for the paper presented. And I want to leave us with these 2 words. Matthias, the same person that has us to dominate, the same person that has us to replenish the earth. So for me, it's a contradictory word. Maybe we begin to look at it again because people are more interested in dominating instead of replenishing. And that's why we are having this ecological crisis. And no matter what happens, we have to debate nature in order to save nature. Thank you very much for all your wonderful time. God guide you to your various destinations. Those who have been in Lagos for the past 2 years, have been LSA for life. Hopefully, next year, Professor Derriton will gather us again. Thank you, and God bless all of you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. It's been a nice time.
Oluwabumi. God has blessed me.
God has given me. God has given me. I hope he hears that now. Thank you. Oh, my mom has called. Yeah.